councillors, officers and clerk. Welcome to the meeting of the Town and Community Committee meeting held today, Tuesday, 23rd of May. Item 1 on the agenda is for the election of chair. I would like to propose from the chair, Councillor Glenn Lambert. Do I have a seconder? Thank you very much. Before I go to the vote, are there any other nominations for chair? Okay, those in favour? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Item 2 on the agenda is the election of vice chair. Is anyone going to make a proposal? Councillor Gavashak.
I'll make a proposal for Councillor Hoskins.
Okay, does that have a seconder? That's Councillor Candia, thank you. Anybody have any other nominations?
Michael asked Ellie.
Do you have a seconder? Seeing none, thank you. All those in favour of Councillor Hoskins? Thank you very much. Item 3 is apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
We have apologies from Councillor Riceman and Councillor Gavashak is substituting.
Okay, thank you. Is that it?
Yes,
Thank you. Item 4 is declarations of interest. Does anybody have any? I see none. Okay. Item 5 is public participation. Would you like to speak, sir?
No.
Okay. I'll just mute my phone. How about that? Okay, item 6, minutes to approve the minutes of the Town and Community Committee meeting held on the 4th of April 2023. Have a proposer, seconder, all those in favour? I was there. Is that enough?
But I wasn't
That's
there.
carried. Yeah, that makes sense. So. Item 7, appointment of subcommittees, in terms of reference and membership. So we're going to take this a matter of time, I think. Find the relevant page, which is page 9. Okay, so starting with events, I mean, I'd like to propose from the chair that we defer this committee until the next TNC, or maybe full council. When's the next meeting?
I don't know if we have a date for the next events.
June
20th of June.
20th of June.
Wednesday, full council.
It should be the committee rather than full council that appoints.
Okay. Okay, so for the next TNC then, if anyone wants to second that, Councillor Miller, all those in favour? Thank you. Henley and Bloom subcommittee. Members are Councillor Dave Edgerton, Councillor Will Hamilton, Councillor Kerry Hinkley, Councillor Glenn Lambert, Councillor Sarah Miller. I would like to propose to the chair that I come off Henley and Bloom. Is there anyone that's interested in replacing me?
I'd be better to take another one.
Okay, but I'd still like to come off it.
Then I've got to
That's okay. I have a seconder for that. Thank you very much. All those in favour?
Can I add Will Hamilton?
Yeah.
Because he's also not a councillor any member.
Ooh, that's true. Can we remove Councillor Will Hamilton, who no longer exists?
This membership was just for illustration from the previous year.
Okay, okay. Well, I'd like to come off with immediate effect. So if anybody, Councillor Gavashak.
Yeah, I suggest that we we'd send a call out because there are probably members of other committees
Yeah.
who would like to serve on this committee. So we send a call out within the next couple of weeks. Anybody who's interested in being on the blue committee, pop the name forward to the town clerk, and then we can populate the committee.
I'll defer it to the next meeting like for them.
Yeah, yeah. Councillor Egerton,
You have to have 3 councillors on it, don't you? Is that right?
with myself and Will come off, that does leave 3.
Yeah.
For a subcommittee or working group, you don't technically need any councillors. Unless it's been given executive authority, the power to spend. If it's been given the power to spend, then you do need
Yeah, we
a
have,
quorum of at least 3.
yeah, we've got that.
Okay. Okay.
Just to clarify, the way the budget runs at the moment is with delegated power, so decisions can be made by the relevant senior manager with guidance from yourself. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. So at the moment, the subcommittee doesn't have executive powers because the power to spend is delegated to the town centre manager in consultation with the committee.
Okay,
So can I just, my curiosity as much, so does it require 3 councillors? Despite not having executive power, because it's in the terms of reference, or will they be amended?
There's nothing legally that would require 3 councillors, and so the terms of reference could be amended.
okay, so what are we approving here? Because obviously the next item is appointing chairs and vice chairs, and we don't know who the members are. How are we supposed to do that?
The other items would be deferred.
To where? So that means we can't have another Henry Bloom meeting until someone's been elected.
Not a formal one, no.
But we can have an informal meeting.
Yes, there's nothing to stop members meeting informally to discuss projects, because if it's only on an advisory basis anyway, then there's no executive function for it to formally carry out.
But you wouldn't be able to carry anything out that you talked about. So if you wanted things to move on, you wouldn't be able to do those.
Yes, you would be, because the delegated authority is with the town centre manager.
So the committee membership that's listed here is just the councillors, and there are non-council members on Bloom. And it's actually one of the committees that over the time I thought should be taken back into the community more, and let's say that the thought of less councillors is fine by me. And if any of those non-councillor members that aren't here, and we, aren't guaranteed yet, were to be chair or vice chair, how could we do that if they're not? Should we defer to the next meeting?
Yes, I mean, the committee membership should also be approving the non-councillor members of the subcommittee, and there's nothing to stop one of those members being a chair of that committee.
Right.
So what's the reason for not electing a chair and a vice chair tonight then? For what reason?
Well, we don't know who's going to be on the committee.
Well, I think most of the people are already on the committee.
They're not listed, so if you look on the
Ah.
events committee, all of the non-councillors are listed, but on the
Yeah.
Bloom committee, we're not there. We know we've got Sally Rankin, we've
Yeah.
got Catherine Mataris. And then my mind goes blank.
There's more than that.
Yeah, I
Yeah, there
know,
is.
but my mind's gone blank.
I'm feeling we don't have enough information to actually do this. Would you agree?
But the membership should be discussed by councillors and with proposals to come to the meeting.
Because I don't think there's any reason why you can't elect a chair and thing and then find out the members, because I'm sure those members that are already on it and they would come back, they wouldn't disappear like councillors would.
My problem is, I think that me and you do quite a lot on the council already, and I want to see which I personally, my proposal would be to have a community, a non-councillor chair. To take it, the chair from away from the council. So we need to know we need to have our non-councillor members agreed to be able to do that anyway.
Or do we? Do we know who's going to be on it? Do you want to make a proposal or not? You want to defer?
I think it's best if it's deferred, to be honest. As long as Sheridan, as the town clerk says, we can have meetings. And the town centre manager can make the decisions.
Okay, so should we defer this like with events and put the call out for whoever wants to be on it, make sure the people that are on it want to stay on it and come back with a full list at the next.
Honestly, my mind's gone blank, and without blue meetings in front of me.
Is there blue minutes in it somewhere?
No,
Oh, right.
I just, all I can think of are the two members, and now I know there's a few members. But I think we do.
Town clerk.
The only other way that you could do it, if you can't remember the membership, is to say, to propose that the membership remain the same with the exceptions of councillors Lambert and from councillor Will Hamilton.
Well, I can
who
sound
would be
that.
removed from the committee.
Okay, so I'll make that proposal now.
Okay.
Can I,
Sorry. Hello. No.
As we're talking about the thing that we'll be doing and deferring the meeting, I think, or the division, could we also highlight to the Henley and Broome people that they can have in a formal meeting, because it just strikes me May, June, July is a very important time for Henley and Broome.
Exactly.
So, you know, if there are any important decisions that need to be made, I think it's helpful to say, please have an informal meeting and just the process is outlined. Like, we're not saying don't have a meeting, have a meeting. because-
So I'll propose from the chair then that we go ahead with the membership as it currently is. Do I have a second for that? Minus myself and councillor Hamilton
Any additions to be added,
and any additions to it.
as long as they're subject to.
Yeah. Seconded? All those in favour?
Sorry,
Oh. Go on.
how do the new committee members get decided?
Do you want to be on it?
You can put yourself on it.
You'd
You
be
can
added
ask to
now,
go on
right?
it.
I need to find out a bit.
Okay.
Sorry, so can I?
I really feel like we should-
defer?
You can be added later, yeah.
Right, thank you.
Added later, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. But anybody else who wants to go away and do some research and possibly be added, please do that. Come back, you can be added to the committee later, but we'll go ahead with the committee members as it is at the moment for this agenda item, okay? All those in favour? Great, thank you very much.
That was a really good decision.
I'm also going to propose from the chair that we re-establish the bus working group. With councillor Gavashak as chair. This is to investigate options for getting the bus back to a 5-day service. Would anybody like to volunteer to be on this group?
I was on previously, so I'm very happy to
Okay,
go on. Yeah.
anybody else interested?
Just can we put a call out to the other committees?
Yes.
Who will work with the membership?
If you're going to be elected straight as chair right away, you could perhaps do that. Reach out to the other.
Because we had some users, didn't we? They were very, very useful.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
do the chair bit and then I will put the email out.
Okay. So we'll establish the Henley and Blue, we'll establish the bus working group with councillor Gavashak as chair. Councillor Dodds as a member and we'll put a call out for more members in the future. Have a seconder for that? Thank you, Tony. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Right, so item 8, the election of chair, and item 9, the election of vice chair. Obviously, we should defer these to the next T&C as well. Okay, second for that. Cool.
There is another option whereby you could empower the subcommittee to appoint its own chair and vice chair should you wish. So rather than come back to this committee at the first meeting of the subcommittee, they would agree their own chair and vice chair.
Okay,
If
even
that
if we've
isn't
got
it.
different members, we haven't got to establish the members,
We haven't established the members,
and we haven't
so we've
established. them.
deferred this one entirely,
Yeah, yeah,
so we can defer these two as well.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so all those in favour of deferring items 8 and 9 to next T and C? Thank you very much. It's carried. Right, 10, election of chair for the Henley and Bloom subcommittee. Proposal. Councillor Hinton.
I wasn't really prepared to do this yet, and I've only had a few conversations, and I haven't spoken with Dave yet, and anything else, or the town hall staff. But I do think that it should be in the hands of the community. I have only spoken to 2 of the members. And one is willing and would be very good and has the time and the knowledge and the background. And I think that myself and Dave and the third person that's on the committee that I've forgotten already will be able to support them. But I don't actually think they'll need that much support because they are one of these whirlwinds around town. And so I would like to propose Catherine Nataris take over Henley and Bloom
As chair, okay.
as chair.
Anybody want to second that? So, councillor Candia.
Take me off the committee, please. Take me off that group. I don't want to be part of any Bloom.
We haven't voted on it yet, Dave.
I don't care for it. Just take me off the.
Does anybody have any other nominations for chair of Henley and Bloom? See none. All those in favour, Catherine Taurus. That's carried. Did Dave want to make a proposal? Come on.
Well, we could go back to the previous item where the membership was agreed. If you can.
Okay, you sure?
I'm coming off and
Absolutely sure.
as from now.
Okay, so an amendment to the previous item, the Henley and Bloom subcommittee. Also,
Especially when I think it's just wrong, because no one's actually talked to me about any of this meeting, and what I've just heard from Kelly. No one's talked to me about any of this, about taking it out of town council thing, which I think I had the right, or someone would have had the decency to talk to me about it. And so take me off Henley and Bloom and good luck.
Do you use your vote on that again? So the
Ideally.
Henley and Bloom subcommittee membership as is, minus councillor Eggleton, councillor Hamilton, councillor Lambert. Have a seconder for that? Councillor Hunt, you, all those in favour? It's carried, thank you. Right.
Sorry, Ben, before we go.
Yeah.
Councillor Lambert, has probably saying.
Sure.
Can I propose then that we adjust the terms of reference, because as there's now only 2 councillors, there would never be a quorum.
Does that need to happen?
Yes, it would do.
I think that would support the move towards the community focus for the groups. I'll second that. All those,
Sorry, could I speak?
yeah, sure.
I don't think there's any need at the moment because we put up a call to other councils whether they want to be on the Bloom committee. So therefore, we haven't got the definitive membership at the moment because there could well be members of planning and finance that do want to be on the Bloom committee. So I would wait until maybe other councillors step up for the fight. If they don't, then amend the terms of reference at that point. But no need to at the moment, in my opinion.
Well, I think there might be, because the reason we did this was so that Bloom could carry on meeting as normal. And it obviously can't do that if it won't be quorum. So we would have to make that amendment now, I think, correct?
However, that wouldn't preclude other councils joining. the
No, of
meeting.
course it would.
But it would mean that as with, for example, the climate emergency working group, you wouldn't need a certain number of councillors to be present. You could say that the quorum is a certain number of members of the committee.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for that amendment? Thank you very much, councillor Candia. All those in favour? Oh, is that? Can't lose count now. Be clear, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Karen. Brilliant. Okay, election of vice chair of the Henley and Bloom subcommittee. Does anybody have any proposals?
Well, it's only me or so.
Propose councillor Kelly as
Thank you very much, Councillor. I'll second that from the chair. I don't think there are going to be any other proposals, are there? Okay, all those in favour, Councillor Hinton, thank you very much. Right. Item 12, communications manager update. Has everybody read this? Anybody have any comments? Thank you for your report, Daisy. Daisy is here, so any other further questions? And would anyone like to comment on the report, or are we happy to move on? Before we noted. Councillor Hunt.
I was just interested, to know, with the adventure golf giving it such a large sort of revenue, how much of an impact has the weather had? In terms of percentage, and has it reduced costs at all, or are costs the same regardless of weather?
I have to feel that question to be communications
It
manager.
has a big impact when it rains, people don't come. We have less staff than we had last year, and if it is torrential, because of the staff we have in place, they tend to close early, or not open. If it's really, really bad, but it's something we need to learn from and yeah, it makes a big impact.
Councillor Kinbride.
I would just be interested to know, if you have plans for June, thinking of the great green events and plans. So would you normally share the upcoming communications? With, yeah, I can do. I don't tend to say what's been, but yeah, there is press releases going out at the beginning of June, so ahead of various things that are going on, anything green, something in June, this is about mowing. Yours, everything that's what else in June is going to be that season.
Anybody else have any comments?
One final comment from me, if I may.
Councillor
I
Hunt.
would say that actually I thought the communications around, particularly the coronation, were excellent. The turnout in the town square for that was brilliant, despite the weather.
High praise indeed coming from you.
I'm not normally on social media, but it even reached me.
You were there. Brilliant, well done.
Sat there in the rain, feeling terrible.
And you've got very cold.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much, Daisy. Item 13 is the Visit Henley website to receive a report from the communications manager on the replacement, refurbishing or scrapping of the Visit Henley website. Would anybody like to comment on these reports? Which is on page 17.
I must say, I was quite surprised at the difference in cost from the three companies that we have.
Yes, I think they're all rather high.
15,000, yeah.
It depends on whether they're using a template style or they're actually designing your own. It's the big provider. So if you use something like WordPress that has templates, it's a lot cheaper than if they're designing with the bespoke design.
So I do have a question on that actually. What system are Breathe for You proposing to use?
Sorry, so again,
What system are Breathe for You proposing to use?
WordPress.
Is WordPress, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank
We've
you.
used, sorry, we've used Breathe quite a lot, haven't we?
They did the golf site for us.
That's it.
Councillor Hoskins.
Yeah, I'm looking at the recommendation. It's talking about retaining the site, but also upgrading it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You have three options: to retain, to create a new, or to remove. Is this a combination between those three options?
No, so it is a case of are we maintaining the existing one, which is just updating the information as it is, or do we start fresh? Yeah, from scratch.
And we're not starting fresh from scratch.
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting, that we start with a whole new site, because otherwise we're updating the website that is fundamentally dated.
I do have views about tourism And I think there needs to be a wider consideration rather than just looking at the website, but I'll take that on with council manager himself later.
Fair enough. But specifically, regarding the website, so the recommendation here is that we retain the current website whilst we appoint Breathe for You to redesign a new website. And that we allocate, recommend full council to allocate the budget for that, which is £6,000 for Breathe for You. Councillor Hunt and then Councillor Hopkins.
That was ahead of me in the queue.
It's okay, you can go.
Can I ask if the new website is going to be compatible with mobiles, tablets and ears?
Yeah. It's WordPress format, so that's used by a lot of sites.
Have we specified that as a requirement yet? It should be a default anyway, because the WordPress template that was reasonably modern will be mobile compliant, so that wouldn't be an issue. Councillor Hendren.
I think that it is a chain around the neck, and I think that calling it an asset is polishing a turd. And it should be removed, actually. I think why to have multiple things of the same thing in the town, there's absolutely no need for it. My only curiosity here is that we've gone to the Henley Herald and Experience Henley. If we're going to include news sites like the Henley Herald or online blogs or whatever you label them as, then surely the Henley Standard should have been approached as well, because they have events and things running on their website. So if I'm going to see the Henley Herald there, I want to see the Henley Standard as well, and vice versa. But also, if we were going to work with someone, they'd need to be completely non-political, non-biased, and if they're going to be social media savvy, they probably shouldn't be somebody that slags off the town council or uses swear words in reference to councillors. So I think that eliminates certainly one of the options there. But I would actually be in favour of
Point of
completely
order
binning
there,
it.
Chairman, please.
Completely binning
Point of
it.
order there, please.
There is no.
You're actually, yeah, but you're talking about two people.
Excuse me.
So you're slating one person.
Nobody.
No one's been
Yes,
slated.
you
In
are.
fact,
You just
the
have.
only town council and town councillors are.
You
You
just
should
have.
probably have your facts before you
Calm
interrupt me.
down,
You
stop
know
myself.
your-
Calm down, everybody.
Don't interrupt me unless you know your standing orders, councillor Egerton. Okay, so I'll completely can carry
Yeah,
on.
you
Thank
carry
you.
on.
I'll carry on, thank you,
You
because I'm
carry on.
speaking. So I would say that after months, perhaps years of this being a chain around the neck, and when other people in the town, like the Henley Standard, like the Henley Herald, like Experience Henley, can offer this package, that's 3 people already doing the same thing. Do we really need to spend 6,000 doing what they're doing when we can use one of these local companies? So yeah, as long as whoever we end up is completely non-biased and not detrimental to the council in any way in what they're posting out on social media. And that it ties in nicely with the goals that we're trying to achieve and the things that we're trying to promote, then I would actually be in favour of completely removing the site, and going with a local option.
I'll put on my special. It's buried in here somewhere. It was a cost for that.
Can I, respond?
Councillor Hunt, go ahead. Violet.
I agree with the principles there, councillor Hinton, completely. However, there is a cost of, as I said here, up to £500 per month.
Yeah. that's
So
right.
what I would like to follow up there is ask, what would the cost for, so I'm assuming these costs, the 6,000 is to build the site. What is the hosting cost compared to the cost of going through one of the other sites?
It says in 3.7 at the end.
Ah,
It's
Just
a
saying.
lot cheaper just to host it ourselves.
sorry,
Yeah.
in which case, I
Do we
do be in favour of hosting ourselves rather than.
It says here that £144 per year after the initial £6,000 cost,
Compared to 500, so. If
which
we
would get us 12 years plus the other £144 times 12.
Yeah.
well, it's 500,
Well,
that's the equivalent,
Right, one
that's
second.
the equivalent of one year rather than 12
Yeah.
years.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry, I'm not yet.
Daisy, can I clarify this?
Yeah.
£144 a year. Is that-
£144 a year is for us to host the
That's
site.
what
So
us-
one is it's £6,000 to build it, and then
Yeah.
it's £144 to keep it online.
Yes.
To have another company host our information for us, you're talking up to £500 a month.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah. £144. Yeah. Councillor Caversham.
If it is, Breathe for You, the company that did the adventure golf, they are absolutely stunning in their design concept and everything. And so I think we should really wholeheartedly support this and give a fair wind behind it. as you said, it's 6,000 to build it, and then it's cheap to host it, so
Okay,
in my opinion, very good.
okay, councillor Hinton speak and then our town centre manager.
One of the issues Visit Henley hasn't worked is because the man hours just aren't there, the skill set perhaps hasn't been there, it's just not worked for these reasons. I don't understand how we're going to overcome these same issues, and it's just we're going to be doing the same thing as at least 3 other people are doing in the town, and try to overcome the issues from before, but I don't know how we're going to overcome those issues. We don't have any extra staff, we don't have anyone with any extra knowledge.
Information centre staff are much more computer savvy than we have had. So they're much more comfortable with uploading information, and part of their job is to understand what's going on in the town. And, you know, at the moment, they've literally got a paper diary that they're filling all this amazing information in. So if someone walks in and goes, what's happening this weekend, they can tell them that information can easily be then uploaded by them. Rather than just being in paper diary. So there are resources, plus I'm here and I have years of website development experience, so I'm very comfortable once the site is built to maintain it and edit it and add a shop or any of those things I can do myself. So I think we do have better resources now to maintain it.
Do you want to come back or?
Yeah, why not keep it as is then?
Yeah, what is the reason that we don't put information on there currently? What's the barrier to that?
Because it's an incredibly old site,
Right,
very hard to work out how to do it.
it's not built on WordPress.
No, it's not a WordPress, it's on some unknown thing
Okay.
that you can never find anything to do anything, and you can't edit half the stuff you want to, and can't even find half the stuff that you want to, so
Is the Adventure Golf site WordPress?
it's beautiful, yeah,
And it is WordPress.
yeah.
We have the skills for that then. Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor manager.
I had the recent unfortunate experience of having to use the Visit Henley website. It was pretty much the worst thing I've ever tried to adapt, use. Uploading an image takes hours. It's unusable in its current form. However, Visit Henley URL is very widely used and populated. We get so many visitors to it, and when they get there, it's impossible to use. Also, my view on this is that we need to be curating Henley. And if we give it to someone else who has ulterior agendas, we are not curating our own story. We need to be putting out our own images and telling the story how we want to tell it, not how someone else wants to tell it.
Okay. Just want to speak?
Yes, please.
Councillor Kandaya.
It's just to understanding, and I know there has been previous discussions about TOR and Visit Henley, but in a nutshell, what is the main objective of the Visit Henley website, and how can we differentiate it from these other 3 overlapping websites? Like, is there a unique selling point for the Visit Henley that we would maximise?
I suppose, as Paul said, it's our autonomy, it is the council's image of the town, and you as representatives of the town as a whole. So there aren't any other agenda apart from making the town the best possible it can be, however that is. And it also isn't a commercial venture. And I think that's huge, that we can promote the tiny businesses and the massive ones without an agenda of getting sponsorship or income or something from them. So we can support as a whole, not much, broader, because we are literally just trying to, advocate for the town as a whole. So I think that's what makes us different, is that it is, our whole job is to shout from rooftops that Henley's great. That's
Does
it.
that include local community groups as well?
Absolutely.
And local charities?
Absolutely, we can have guest bloggers on there, we could do anything with it if we want to.
As well as the
So,
package
but
behind it.
the website needs to be able to facilitate that. There's so many ideas. And I've only been here a year, and people have come to me with amazing ideas for the site, and someone was saying, oh, we could do a thing about, the most Instagrammable places in Henley's in Norwich. Yes, but where do I put? Yeah, I have nowhere to put that at the moment. So I think there's definitely the autonomy of the voice that we are positive.
Thank you. May I ask a follow-up question? And you highlighted the great difficulties and challenges of the existing website. Is that the same platform as the Henley Town Council website? No, it's different. Yeah. What is the Henley Town Council website?
The web flow, isn't it? Web flow, yeah. It's slightly different to WordPress. It isn't quite, well, I don't understand it quite as well, but it's a lot more modern and up to date. Yeah.
I wanted it to be WordPress.
I love
Everyone knows and understands
Yeah.
WordPress. But
Yeah,
anyway, we
it's
are.
fully editable, so I can edit
Oh.
all the information, I just can't add stuff necessarily to it.
Councillor Hinton,
Just about convinced me to go with this brief for you. But I have been, this Visit Henley has come up in many conversations over the last few years and not one of them's been a good one.
Yeah.
So the challenge is really to get the conversation about this good. And I think it will be a challenge, but I'll support it.
thank you. I'm gonna make one final comment, I think. It's mentioned in here that the Visit Henley website is valuable because of its SEO placement. That risks being lost if the new company is not able to redirect the same URLs to the relevant content on the new site. So there'll have to be some kind of mapping thing somewhere. Can we make sure that they try and set that up so we retain as much of that SEO
But we will
benefit
discuss
from that?
that quite.
And that's in the
I also love SEO, so I think we'll be more than.
Could you explain what SEO is?
search engine optimization.
So if you Google what's on
Yeah,
Henley at the moment, Visit Henley comes up before anything else. And a lot of other search terms as well. I haven't got a lot of data on visitor numbers because it hasn't got analytics set up within it, so I can't tell you how many people are visiting it. But like, if you Google things to do with Henley, Visit Henley comes up high.
Yeah.
So the risk is if you take it down, but that site up, it loses a lot of that history that Google like. They like
Yeah,
pages that have been used and people have visited them. But there are ways that you build the new site that keep the old URLs and make them in. So it keeps that history and it keeps that search engine optimization there.
so as long as you're aware of that, sounds like you are, they're aware of that, they're going to do that, and they'll put in all the relevant redirects so that we don't have 404s linked to from Google, which
Yeah.
will destroy our SEO. Then that's fine. Councillor Miller?
Can I propose?
Yeah.
5.1, recommended that committee resolve to retain Visit Henley as a town council asset. Appoint brief youth redesign the site supported by the comms manager and to recommend full council that up to 6,000 be allocated from capital expenditure for the website redesign work.
You may, I'll second that.
Thank you.
All those in favour? Yeah, that's carried. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Item 14, town centre manager update. Over to you. Paul.
It's all in there.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions? For our sitting duck here?
Well, I wanted to congratulate you on the coronation, a great coronation.
Yes.
I thought it really good. And in fact, it's just a shame about the weather, but then you managed to get the screen in the square, and I think people did turn up, even though it poured rain. I think the whole weekend. The whole weekend, sorry. I jumped in front of Kelly.
No, no.
but-
No, no, don't mind me, I'm just gonna ramble anyway, I haven't even got a question.
but,
I think it's,
yeah, well done, that's great.
Councillors Hunt and Thomas braved the weather for hours and
They
did
did.
finally retreating.
Front row seat.
Retreating.
Near death. Councillor Hinton.
I thought the Cypher, was it?
Mm.
Down at Mill Meadows, that was amazing. I'd love to know how that came about. Oh, look, I have got a question, there we are.
Mm.
But like Sarah, I thought the coronation was fantastic in Henley. The screen, the thing down at Mill Meadows was just my favourite. I put the video on social media, that was fantastic. Well, I guess Richard
Did it, yeah.
Richard did that. That was fantastic. I've had phone calls from the Henley Standard, so Bloom's still ongoing. I know that's clearly, yeah, we haven't had any discussions about it, but you know, things are clearly moving there. And I believe it's going to be a record-breaking year for the baskets and everything. And everywhere I go, everyone knows that Paul's in town, and it feels like a real change, actually. And it feels like a real relief. It feels like we're in safe hands. There we are.
Good.
So, yeah, appreciate the full report, appreciate the feedback from everywhere else, and I thought the cipher was made. I'd love to know, yeah, just quickly how that came about.
Sorry.
Carry on, yeah.
Local, well, it's not a local businessman, but a businessman who lives here actually spends the week at this farm. And he works for the company who did it, and they do rugby pitches and athletic pitches, all that stuff at Wembley, and they paint lines. And he's from Wales, but he stays at Swiss Farm during the week, services his patch, and then he goes home at the weekends. And he just said, how about we do something? I said, I'm here all the time, and can we do something? I said, yeah, what's it going to cost? He said, nothing. So,
Love it. We love it when it's free.
yeah, I said, great. That sounds like a good number to me. And then I phoned Richard and, you know, we had to get it filmed and it was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought it would just be fun things to put things on the map a bit and do something different.
It was a real win. Everyone was talking
Yeah.
about it. It was a real win.
I think it's worn off now.
Thanks for the great report. Now, councillor Dodds and Hoskins, who was first? Sorry. Councillor Dodds.
Okay, I love this idea of Heritage Open Days. I think that's a brilliant idea. I don't know who's running it.
Well, yeah, I can
Yeah,
answer straight away
yeah.
if you like. So it's a National Trust nationwide scheme where any venue around the country can take part. There's two models. You can either be an organizer and organize everybody else, or you could be individual organizers. So that's the route we're going. This is a bit of a lighter touch. But I am rallying various places around Henley to get involved. We're going to do something probably in this very room with based on the mayoral regalia, etc.
Man trap.
Yeah.
There is a man, there was meant to be a man trap here, isn't there? Down in the
I
basement.
haven't fallen in it
We
yet.
haven't, no,
One of those iron ones.
Chicken and all. Don't worry.
Lord.
there's lots of stuff down.
Well, we'll
in the
dig out
cellars.
that stuff and also, you know, information. I mean, these artworks around here, some of the pictures and the other things that the public are not normally allowed to access. That's the whole key to it. So any venue who has that kind of thing, the Kenton Theatre are going to do backstage tour, that kind of stuff. The Masonic Hall already did it last year, so there. And then we're just going to pull together, Daisy will put together a lovely kind of press release from Henley. These are the things going on in Henley, and it's a great thing to be part of. And I think it's a week in September.
It's lovely, because I think if you've got the word out there, I mean, St Mary, the church, St Mary's Church and the Dame Perry monument down, there's an awful lot of
There
history
is,
down
yeah.
there.
I love
And the
history.
Quakers are on the Fair Mile.
Yeah.
I mean, if the word went out there, I'm sure
Yeah.
they would want to put on
Well,
exhibitions
if
and
it-
the almshouses as well. And that's a lovely story going back hundreds of years, you know, particularly the ones down there. And the River and Rome Museum have
Yeah.
got loads of stuff that
I'm in touch
They
with
could find in the archive
some
that
of
would be
those
of
already.
interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Royal Museum, Leander, Henley
Yeah.
Regatta, HQ, got tons of stuff.
Mm.
It's anywhere that's got some interesting
Mm.
art, artifacts that don't
Yeah.
see the light of day. So if anyone's talking to anyone who has that kind of venue in
Yeah.
Henley, let's, you know.
If your new Visit Henley website's up and running, that would be, I mean, fantastic thing to splash, wouldn't it? Yeah, yeah. But just quickly, the other thing about the footfall vehicle monitoring, I think is brilliant. That would be so interesting.
Mm.
The enormous lorries that are coming
Mm.
through the town, they're not delivering locally.
So
Why are they here?
this is a good
Very
reference really.
interesting.
This actually came out of the retailers forum, which I ran
Mm.
here in March. We'll be doing that regularly. It was suggested by a retailer. So I looked into it and it is fascinating.
Mm.
And it could give, we're like almost like a company without any data. So if we can become a town with data,
Mm.
I mean, the technology is extraordinary.
Mm. That,
Um,
I look forward to,
People, cars,
Hearing
bikes,
what
lorries,
others say.
anything you want to count.
yeah, brilliant.
Councillor
Thanks.
Hoskins, Gavishak, then Hunt, then Kandaya.
Okay, I would like to talk to the town centre manager about the town centre as regards energy performance certificates
Right.
and the new regulations. I'll do that one-on-one, because I think it's going to be very sensitive. But I'm also willing to talk with myself and Daisy about tourism
Sure.
and the strategy for that. I think that's important.
Yeah.
But actually, of the two, the EPC is far more significant for our future.
Is that not more suited for the climate emergency group?
No,
Is
No,
it not to
because
feed into this? group?
it's not relevant to climate, well, it relates to the climate emergency group, but there's a need to talk to the landlords,
Okay.
and that's why I'm raising it here.
So can you guys arrange a meeting
I will do
sometime
that.
over the next 6
Yeah.
weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, yeah, thank you. Councillor Gavishak.
Mayor, Can you help me out on this particular one? Do you know when the vintage trucks are coming into Henley?
I wish, they never do any advertising, and it's usually about a week after the new mayor.
Yeah,
is-
I know. This is, Daisy, you need to jump on this. On the Sunday morning at 8 in the morning,
In the car park,
it's
yeah.
very early. There are something like 150, and all the mayors, will know that, 150 old trucks come into the Station Road car park, and then they go off on a tour.
Yeah.
We really need to find out when they're coming
Yeah.
and really give it publicity. There's a burger van there, but you can see old fire engines, buses,
It's
Um,
fantastic.
Yeah.
vans, whatever. But, and we always go down and see it, and then we say, why isn't this been put this
Yeah.
way? And it never is.
But it would be a great place
Well,
for families.
They always invite the mayor, so
Yeah,
it should
so the
be in
mayor,
their diary already. It's called the Ridgeway Ride, I
Let's-
believe.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Original fun. Yes, it
It's,
is.
it's gonna be this weekend or next weekend, because as you say, it's usually right after the mayor's.
It's in June, it's normally towards the end of June, it's like the 3rd week of June.
It was one of
It would be fantastic.
Well, I've got a
Yeah.
meeting,
300 or 400 Henley people
yeah,
down to see it.
I'll let you, I've got a meeting with Lena on Friday, when
Please.
she's back, so if we've got
Brilliant.
something, I'll let,
everyone
and Daisy, I'll let you know as well.
know. Thank you very much. Councillor Hunt.
Thank you for your report. I'm interested in this system to understand footfall and vehicle monitoring. Have you got any indicative costs at this stage?
Yeah, I was going to bring it all, do a kind of demonstration at the next meeting.
Okay.
And bring it all at one point.
Discuss that, yeah. It might need to go in confidential or something. If we're going to do numbers, we should just avoid that for now.
That's
Wait for
fine.
the demo. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll be before the next.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Kandai?
Yeah, question from me.
Yeah.
So just to clarify that the historic Henley audio tour guide will be a walking tour.
That's
guide.
right, yeah.
Brilliant, good. And that football vehicle monitoring, I think you mentioned it, but it won't, that it will include cycling and.
It can do.
Coming into train.
Yeah, it's-
into trains and
it's,
stuff, because I live on the Fair Mile, and there are a number of cyclists that pass through, and I'm just really keen that Henley is also seen to be a destination that is non-car friendly.
Not
From
car
a
friendly, yes.
cyclist,
Or
from
cyclist
a
friendly as well,
pedestrian.
yeah. The,
rather coming into by train and what have you.
Yeah.
So I
And the
think
amount
having
of-
those numbers would be good.
the amount of cycles you see at the weekend is extraordinary. Henry. Just very briefly, the system is an AI-based learning kind of system, so it learns what a bike looks like, it learns what a person looks like, and a bus or whichever you program it, so it can go as far as you want it to.
Okay, so
Or dogs.
HGV.
HGVs, yeah.
My final question, if that's okay, is just to understand your engagement with the retailers. What are your thoughts on how engaged or understanding they are on issues of the environment and sustainability?
I think, sorry, yeah.
Part of the year is, you know, we've got the Green Week, which Henley Town Council is plastered all over its posters. And I just want to know, what is it that you guys are doing to support those things? Green Week as well.
Well, we're always, I mean, at the last retailers meeting, there was a presentation from Great Big Green Week to all of the retailers are there. There was at least 30 retailers there. And yeah, I mean, we're constantly kind of in touch with our retailers, and they, you know, some of them engage, some of them don't. But I think I would say my feeling is that most retailers do engage in some form, depending on who they are. More of the independents than the bigger you know, chains, I would say. But I think there's a good relationship between the town council and the retailers and that agenda.
Thank you, Paul. I'm going to move on now. We've had quite a lot of time on this subject. To agenda item 15, finances. To consider the management accounts for 31st of March 2023, and that is on page 27. Anyone have any comments, questions? Councillor Hoskins?
Yes, I have a comment, which is not relation to the accounts, but actually relation to Climate Emergency Working Group with the deputy town clerk, we've agreed that we'll actually be communicating with the supply chain, which is all of this accounts, about their climate emergency program. With a view to actually trying to ensure that in future, probably about 2 or 3 years' time, the suppliers will be considering climate emergency and acting upon it. So that's to be aware.
Anybody else have anything to add? Okay. Making decisions will be not good. Okay. Item 16, to receive a report from the police. I've read the report. It's a shame they can't be here with us today, but they do tend to come in and see us once or twice a year, which is really good. But very grateful for their report anyway. It's quite thorough. Mentioned a few things that many of us know about already. Councillor Hoskins.
It's out of date insofar as it's not covering the thefts of
Motor
cars.
vehicles.
Sorry,
Motor vehicles.
Barb has said that they're actually that will be in work at the moment, so she couldn't mention it in this report. She'll give an update of the next one, but it could be because it's an ongoing situation, it couldn't be mentioned in the report.
Thank you. It does mention the theft of catalytic converters though, which is getting a bit,
would it,
becoming a bit of a problem.
would it be helpful if either the town council or the police could communicate what residents could do to protect their cars?
The police made an announcement yesterday suggesting things that people could do. Is something, once that's kind of confirmed and put it out there, it isn't just a Henley issue, it's a work.
No.
But they have now just put out suggestions of what people can do to minimise risk. So it is something that I did look at sharing.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Daisy. Councillor Egerton.
The thing is, you can't really do much. They say park your car outside the front of your house, which is where one in Henley, not saying where it is. At 1 o'clock in the morning, they heard this noise and they looked out the window and there was 2 people wearing balaclavas underneath the car, taking it off, shouted at them. They told him, they swore back at him, and then by the time he got down, they were so within 5 minutes they had a catalytic converter off and they were gone.
You can have in your pocket. I think there's things that you can do to minimise the risk in regards to that, like don't have it right by the front door and quite a car outside. And I think you can buy special box now to keep your key in the house.
Oh, that's the car, that's not the catalytic.
Yeah.
Sorry, may I say, as a
Councillor
business,
Shack.
if you get an old biscuit tin, put your key in the biscuit tin, it will minimise it. Because it's called a Faraday cage.
That's what
I can draw you 3 of them on it. If you
That doesn't stop you nicking catalytic converters.
No, that's a
No,
condition.
that's the case. Councillor Hunt.
I'm not sure if this is the correct time to raise this, but it seems relatively related. Is there any update on the removal of the graffiti on the bridge?
That's in there.
Still an OCC issue somewhere.
On progress.
Well, I said that seems to be, well,
Yeah.
not much going on. I was wondering if, while we're talking to the police, if there'd been any progress, not on the person who did it, and if they are, as I think you suggested, if they're going to have any contribution to removing it.
Yeah, the last update was from April, but that's part of agenda item 18, progress reports. So, did anybody else have any comments on the police report? Seeing none, we'll move along. Item 17, small Christmas tree brackets. It is about the upgrading of our brackets at various locations around the town for mounting Christmas tree. Report is on page 31 to 34. And there's an illustration of the brackets on page 34. Right.
I just say, apologies that it was printed in black and white on the agenda, it should be in colour. But if you saw it online, then the pictures would be clearer.
Yeah, I looked online. Councillor Hinton.
On the brackets black anyway.
Silver.
The brackets would be black once application.
I think that there's a recommendation. I think it makes complete sense. I was really pleased to see in here that the old brackets would be assessed and that any that were suitable could be reused by people outside the town, because sometimes people on the bracket, we've done it in the past. I remember, you know, out of my mayor's allowance or out of something that someone had donated, we gave people that they could afford the basket, but
Yeah.
just that extra 30 or whatever it was just too much. Sometimes it just takes you over the edge, and with everything, you know, rising, press and everything, I think it's really lovely to be able to offer that people that option with the brackets that's still suitable. But yeah, we do need new brackets desperately. For all of the reasons that I mentioned in the report, from the angle to even just the wider bottom. So that's going to save someone 3 days of trimming trees. I mean, that's a huge impact. So yeah, so I'm in favour of recommendation 5.1. I'd like to propose that.
Okay, I'll second that, but we'll have councillor Gavishak then, Eggleton.
Well, that's been proposed and seconded, yes. I mean, the other factor is that we're using JR Hill, which is a local company. They actually at Grays Court, and they're a local fabricator, so it's really, and their quality of work is absolutely superb. One of the priorities of this is that we cannot have well, I'll use the word debacle of last Christmas, where we had problems with the lights. And what I'd like to ask the town clerk is, once these brackets are in, are the problems of the electrics to do with the Christmas trees? Yeah, well, not solved, but they're in train to be, so that we can have a splendid Christmas with really good Christmas trees in the town.
So
Thank
there,
you.
so there are two parts to that. So the first is, so there is a wiring loom that goes around the town centre. So Marketplace, Hart Street, and Bell Street, which can power all of the lights. And you don't need individual sockets for each set of lights for each tree. So the wiring loom gives us some certainty, and we've also commissioned a survey of the whole of the wiring loom, so that not only can we check that it's all up to scratch, it's all working, but it will also provide us with a schematic, so that if we do have issues with parts of the wiring loom, which we did have last year, rather than trying to search in the dark whilst putting up, trying to trace wires back and see where it goes, they will actually have a plan which shows exactly, they can trace the bolt back to the distribution box or whatever it might be. So that will certainly help.
May I ask a supplementary?
Yep.
Which is really just good. Well, thank you for that reassurance, because of course, during the summer is the best time to actually anticipate sorting out the problems going forward. The other one was there were a few complaints about the quality of Christmas trees that were supplied last year as well. Have we got a checking mechanism to actually make sure that the supplier of the small Christmas trees, they're not scraggy, they're really pristine and good? Please.
So we met after the last Christmas with the supplier to discuss the quality of the Christmas trees, and we've agreed basically that there will be that it will be a premium standard of Christmas trees, and the council will have the final say over. And because we will know all the locations, and it will be very easy for us to go around and assess those locations, whereas it is much more difficult in previous years where they're all scattered. But this will give us much more control.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Councillor Eggleton.
Don't think this is anything to do with the actual brackets, why the Christmas was quite shabby with the trees and things like that. I think the brackets went up okay. I'd like to see a report of these brackets are not being fit for purpose, because we're supposed to be in climate emergency. Whilst a carbon footprint on making new brackets, there would be a carbon impact on that. But refurbishing the brackets is no carbon footprint. That means it's just things. So I'd like to see the report of whoever signed these off and said these brackets are not fit for purpose. And I think the public have got the right to see that as well. And the other thing is if this thing is discussed at a subcommittee, which was the events committee, which was talking about doing brackets, but we didn't discuss about doing new brackets. We talked about having flagpoles or making them multi-use. That didn't go back to, that should have gone back to the subcommittee, then come to this committee, but it hasn't, it's come straight to this committee. So that was one thing. And then you got these traits. Hang on, I haven't finished yet.
Do you want that question answered by the time?
Well, you can answer it, but then I can carry on.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So on the first one with the brackets not being perfect. So the past 3 contractors have all commented on the brackets. Added to that, do bear in mind that we also that the contractor before the last one also mislaid and did not return over 100 brackets. So those are the ones that we need replacing anyway. So it's not just the state of them, but it's also the look of them, as is illustrated in Appendix 1. They do not look pretty, to put it mildly. And if they're going to be kept up, they can't. With the design that they currently are, they can't be kept up all year round. They're an eyesore. So by having new brackets, more attractive brackets that can be kept up all year round, coming back to the climate emergency, it means that the contractor isn't having to remove them every year, transport them, and they're heavy, and 150 of them, transport them, store them, and bring them back aside. They remain up, and that also means that whilst we might be paying premium for the brackets, they will also be very durable, and it will lower our costs for providing the Christmas trees in the future, because the contractor won't have to factor in the cost for installing and deinstalling the bracket every year.
So what is the
Carry
cost?
Carry on.
What is the cost with so in last year's, the cost was £120 per tree. Per tree to put so I'm going to include, that's obviously including putting the brackets up, which we owned, but we don't own the lights to put the lights on. So you can go and buy a Christmas tree from 25 quid from Tesco's, but it's costing £120 per tree to put a tree up. And the council was subsidising that by £60, so it was costing £60 for the tree. So I'm not understanding. So and what you're talking about is these brackets are going to cost £9,000 to produce, but you still haven't addressed the carbon footprint on making these brackets. Whereas and we're supposed to be going into, being friendly and all this with the planet and save the planet, but you want to keep producing. It's a bit like when you're talking about the bins, you wanted to replace all the bins a long time ago. And all you want to do is keep replace. Some of this stuff is made. Are you going to replace these brackets in another 10 years' time, or are you going to leave them up there? These trees that you're going to give away, from what I've heard, retailers saying, you're going to give away these trees to 150 people around the town at the cost of £18,000, because that's what it would cost if they're £120 per tree.
So this is to do with the brackets, not to do with.
Well, yeah, but
not
they're
to
still
do with
talking
not to do
about
with the
this.
trees.
This is what actually
but to answer
public
your-
knowledge at the moment.
But to answer your, this is to do with the brackets, it's not to do with the trees. That is a separate item, which will be coming to this, committee
Yeah.
at a later date. On the climate emergency. So, as we said, we need new brackets anyway. We don't have enough brackets. We need new brackets anyway. So whether or not they we commission them ourselves, or whether or not we get them off the shelf, there is going to be there is going to be a carbon cost to that. What we've done here is we've gone out to 3 local producers. So yes, we're trying to source them locally. As I said, the older brackets, if we did have enough of them, and we don't have enough of them, then it's not viable to refurbish them. And there is still a carbon cost in refurbishing them as well. It's not viable to
It's a
do
lot
that.
less.
As we saw with the bins as well, it wasn't viable to refurbish them as well. And we're in the same situation we were a couple of years ago with the bins as well. So the town deserves the best and the most durable and the most long lasting. And what we try to achieve here is by getting something, it might be a premium product, but ensuring that it is durable. That is how and that it can remain in place. That is how we can reduce the long-term carbon footprint of this project.
Councillor Hunt.
My questions were answered. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Councillor Hampton.
I just wanted to be clear, obviously, as part of every decision that this town council make, we have an impact assessment, which includes biodiversity, crime disorder, and the climate emergency. And it's in part of this report here, the reasons why this is the more ecological option, and that's, and as well as the point that 100 are missing as well, you know, they need to be replaced, so.
With these 100 that have gone missing, are you getting any money back for those? Or are you getting these brackets back?
So this is the dispute with the previous contractor Sparks. And that's being dealt with by the Fire Strategy and Management Committee. It's a confidential item, but more than happy to discuss that outside of the meeting.
I'd still like to see a report and someone having a look at the brackets to see if they're not fit for purpose, the ones that you got left.
Councillor Gabbard.
We've got to vote. I think we've exhausted this one.
Okay, there are no further comments. All those in favour of recommendation 5.1 to purchase brand new 150 tree brackets cost £9,000 from capital reserves. All those in favour? Carried.
Do you want to chase after and just that? Yeah.
Right, 18, progress. We're still not done. Oh, this is quite a long agenda. Okay, 18. Progress reports. So see the latest updates on all of these. These are long-running projects that are taking forever. The bin refurbishment issue has been alluded to already. The graffiti on the bridge is an issue for OCC. And then you can see the other things there as well. Anybody have any other comments?
On the subject of the bridge.
Yeah.
One side of the bridge has lovely paving stones for pavement. One side has been temporarily filled with asphalt, which was apparently a temporary measure. Is there any progress on putting that back to the way it should be, rather than just leaving it and people hoping it goes away and they can then replace everything with cheap stuff in the future, which also we don't want.
What is that on?
I can deal with it.
Sorry? Oh, yeah,
I
that's
can deal with it quickly. The problem why it's stuck is that there are two companies gone bust. So therefore, we've actually got no recourse to put it right because you caused the problem. And the problem was caused by poor slab laying. And a 14-ton truck went over it and cracked all the walls, that's all. And so Oxfordshire were pursuing the company and they went bust. And that was taken over by another company who then subsequently went bust as well. So the only thing is I'm pushing OCT to get it fixed as quick as I possibly can. The graffiti on the bridge is exactly the same thing, but it's an issue that has gone on for too long and will probably go on for a few more months yet. But
Thanks, definitely. Just one.
no, it's fine. In my OCC report, I will pick it up and I will try and get chapter and verse on when it's going to get done. Thank you.
Councillor Hoskins.
Thank you, Chair.
On the bin refurbishment, one of my concerns is the lack of recycling bins across both the marketplace and also the meadows. In terms of the 3 bins, are those going to be refurbished and include a recycling bin, or is it just going to be dumping it?
The 3 bins are the green heritage bins, which are just being refurbished rather than replaced. So there's no change physically to the bin, if that makes sense.
So when are we going to have recycling bins?
Councillor Gabishak.
This is going to be the subject of a whole report from SODC coming down the line in about a year's time. Because Michael Gove has passed a recycling waste bill. We are still waiting for the ministerial guidance, and it's the ministerial guidance that actually dictates to SODC what they've got to do. We've already deferred our BIFA contract by 2 years, or sort of renegotiated the BIFA contract for 2 years, because Michael Gove hasn't told us chapter and verse what's going to happen. There is going to be a heavy emphasis on recycling. Therefore, that will trickle down through the whole of Henley in terms of we will have to have bins that are non and bins that are recycling. But the issue is, and it will be an issue for the Henley Town Council, of course, if you have non-recycling stuff and recycling stuff, you have to separate it and you have to keep it separated. And therefore, in about a year's time, we are going to have to tackle this big time. But it will be subject to a proper report from, from Sheridan. Ultimately, it will come down. But so we will have to tackle this in, I would guess, about a year, 40 months time.
So would you suggest we send all our recycling rubbish through to Michael Gove?
Well, no, I would say that we certainly encourage Michael Gove to publish the ministerial guide, because that's the thing that's holding it up.
Councillor Kendall.
Yes, I've got a question, well, it's a comment in response to that question.
Go.
Why, I'm sorry, it's a very silly question, why do we need to wait 18 months when we I personally speaking, I think there's the opportunity to put recycling bins or increase something to help make recycling, you know, maybe it's at the events that we run where there is a lot of football and there's a lot of concentrated activity of people with hopefully not too distant future, you know, we'll be able to run a plastic-free event. But sorry.
Well, the answer is, sorry.
If we recognise
Where is it on the
there's
agenda? 'Cause it's following in on the going.
Sorry, I'll make one quick comment. The answer is, yeah, bring the proper report to this committee for discussion. But that will be subject to SODC actually doing it, because all of the vendors in the town, apart from 3 or 4, certainly on the meadows, we can do it, but then you've got to, there's the knock-on effect, because the compactor in part can't cope with non and recycling. So there's a whole issue here. Yes, I agree with you, it's got to be tackled, but it's got to be done properly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Councillor Hinton.
What also needs to be done properly is addressing it on the agendas properly. So we are here to talk about the bin refurbishment, and it's just an update. And now all of a sudden we're going into SODC bins, we're going into soda bins, we're going into recycling. We're just here to do the progress report, and I think that when we're going to do these things and review all these things and ask all these questions, we do it with the right information, with the right agenda item, and then the rest of us don't get frustrated talking about bins, which basically takes this committee from above pounds to below it.
So we can't react on anything when there's impending legislation that might invalidate anything we do, so we have to be careful.
Yes.
You got one more question?
Yes, it is about Repair Cafe. There's a question to the town centre manager. The update of that.
I don't have an update on that. It was going to be something that Patrick Fleming was hoping to do, but I believe he's not going to be a resident of Henley for very much longer, unfortunately. Haven't discussed a plan B with anyone as of yet, but I think that's something, if you want to come up with a plan B, then come up with a plan B.
Thank you. Daisy, did you have something to add?
That's what we were saying, we talked about the other day, that he's leaving the town, therefore there's a big hole in a lot of areas now, and yeah, we need to work out how to fill in those areas. We have lots of ideas, but we didn't know till last week.
Perfect. Councillor Dodds.
I was involved in the Repair Cafe that very nearly started just before lockdown. So we had, I mean, I didn't think many people would turn up, but we had about, there were about 20 who repaired, who could do upholstery and could do bicycles, and it was really impressive. In fact, I've got the notes at home somewhere. I'll dig them out for you. The enthusiasm, this talent and skill was quite remarkable. We were going to have it at the Over 60s Club. But unfortunately on a Saturday now, we rent that out to Cumin Maths, so we can't do that anymore. But I think actually up at the Scouts Hall is the place to do it. Where you can park up there and you can, you know, or the rugby club, but I think it was a great thing, and it was really not particularly driven by him, actually. It was just a group of people who really cared about it. So I'll dig up my notes and then we can have a chat about, I mean, we're obviously not going to make Greener Henley, but we might pick up some talent at Greener Henley Week, and then we'll put out the word through Daisy. There are all sorts of people who can repair things to come forward. But the idea is we don't repair it for you, but we teach you how to, and you get online the bit you need to repair your bike, and then somebody will show you how to do it. That's the idea, as you know. Yeah.
Marvellous.
So, okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Meeting closed.